Okay, welcome everybody to the 2023 Tour du Monde. Today we're on stage 3 and this is the last of the 4 run-ins. We had one at midnight and then another one this morning, one at lunchtime, and then we've got this, the final run-in of stage 3. I'm just going to pull up some information for you. Let's have a look at the details. It's a flat stage of Botany Bay in Australia. Now, I think it's about, let's have a look, 45 kilometers long. And I'm going to pull up the RGTDB database and let's have a look and see what the timings are at the moment. Although my colleague James has already informed me that the current lead-in time is 1 hour and 3 minutes. So a pretty fast time, but I'm pretty confident that that's going to get beaten in this, the final run of the stage. We've got some really heavy hitters here, but let's have a look and see what we had earlier. Currently in the lead is Emmanuel Lejeune. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he had a 1 hour 03:43 time. Wojciech Bas was only 4 seconds behind him. And Henrik Mard was 0.1 hundredth of a second in third place. So that was, and they're the fastest times so far. The earlier run-ins, let's have a look and see what happened there. So the 7 o'clock run-in this morning was won by Luke Webster with a 1 hour 9 minutes and 14 second ride. Christophe Contant, the climber that did so well yesterday, he finished in 1 hour 11:39, and Craig Kingham from Southern District Wheelers finished in 1 hour 12. So that made up the top 3 of this morning's run-in. Now let's have a look at the first run-in, which was at 0100 this morning. And that was Rob Miller from Race Briar in 1 hour 10 minutes 45, with King Tubby following him, the same team, in 1 hour 10:48. And then Dermot Doyle brought up the third place spot with a 1 hour 17. Anyway, we're 1.5 minutes, a bit less now to the start. So let's get to the action and see what happens. Okay, folks, it's going to be on its way very shortly. For those that don't know, this will be the first time I've streamed for quite some time due to a long prolonged illness on my own system. So I'm a little bit rusty, and I'm hoping. Let's get to the front and see what's happening. We've got a Netherlands rider, Bankras, running off the front. So have a look and see who's chasing. We've got Arhen Waligoro, who we expect to do well in this one. But there we go. I fully expect this to be a large group affair. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to spin the view around in a minute and see if we can't get them. There we go. Let's get behind them so we can see what's happening. My teammate James Ogilvie, team captain should I say, James Ogilvie leading them out at the moment. Well, he's just dropped into second. The Moon Rider's rider on the first, and this is the first of the risers. Now this is about the, well, there's two climbs really on the course in the early part. As we see Lyndon from Pucker Motion just running off the front, and I think is that his teammate behind. But he's not going anywhere. This is not going to split up at this early stage. Pretty confident about that. Now, as we get a bit further into the race, if it does split up, then I will work my way back down the field and we'll have a look what's happening further back. But I want to stay with the action here to see how it sorts out on this first climb. As I say, I'm a little bit rusty with the keyboard and mouse because I basically haven't done this for so long. So let's and so you can see a very tightly bunched pack, and I genuinely think it's going to stay this way for the majority of this race. I don't really see the pack splitting up on this kind of terrain. I think the sensible thing to do is to just jump in and draft. Because don't forget, on stages like this, drafting is turned on, so you can save an awful lot of energy by pulling yourself into the draft. Now, I apologise for the menu items on the bottom of the screen. I have been turning them off, but for some unknown reason, my keyboard just doesn't seem to be working to turn them off at the moment. Unless I'm hitting the wrong keys. I've forgotten the keys, but I'll try and sort it as we go along. So that's Arhen's second push off the front, but as I say, he's being kept an eye on by various other riders. I don't think they're going to let him go. Lyndon has taken over on the front now. No, I'm looking further down the field, aren't I? Let's go forward. Who have we got? We got Vesper and Doug Hart. There we go. This is the kind of course that I would fully expect Doug Hart to be in the running to win. Whether he can beat the time set earlier is another matter, and whether he can win it outright. But I think Doug is going to be one of the main contenders for this kind of course. I think it's right down his alley. But he's got some tough competition today, as you can see. Nice to see Evan Oystenson riding with Kevin Barkley. Yeah, a nice group here. Let's see if we can zoom out a little bit and see just how big it is and swap the view around a little bit. So how big is this group? Let's have a look. And then we'll work as the settling in, we'll work his way a little bit further back. So what we got in this group now, let's have a look. If I work my way down the field, well, we got 20 plus, that's for sure. What are we at? We got 28 riders in this front group. But it does look like we've got a rider off the front. Let's just have a look. 2 riders off the front. And they've already established a 36-metre gap. So we'll keep an eye on these 2. Let's just have a look behind them. Yeah, a group have got them in sight. I don't think they're going anywhere, but it's nice to see them making an effort. That Arhen does, the Swedish rider, does look like a very strong rider. And that's James Melville with him. Now, James did really well in some of the flatter stages last year's Tour de Monde. So, again, I think he's just finding his legs. But you can clearly see the pack have pulled them back. So I am going to switch the views now and work my way further down the field. And let's have a look at what's going on behind. And we'll come back to the front. Yes, you may well find more riders jumping off the front, but they're not going to go anywhere. This pack is going to keep tightly packed, I feel, for quite a few kilometres yet. So I think it's only fair that we take a look. And this is Group 2 on the road then. And how many riders have we got here? Let's see if we can work out what we've got here. We've got about 12 riders in this small group. And they seem to be working pretty well together. Now, they're not that far off the group in front. So there's a possibility they could come back together. But having said that, once that front group does get motoring, it can be incredibly difficult to close up a gap. So that's Group 2 on the road, a clear Group 2. Pizza, just looking at the numbers on screen, he's in no man's land. He's 135 metres off that group in second place, and he's 130 metres in front of these 2 riders, both OTR, Soderberg and Morgan. So they'll be hoping to catch him in front, and then hopefully they can work together. And you can see Jones is coming up to join them, as is Bird, Wareham. So a nice little group forming behind. And in fact, another rider joining them now. A bit out of practice doing the view through the trees, folks. So I'll do the best I can, and I should have turned off rider names, but it's not too bad, I suppose. So you can see this is quite a nifty group forming here, but we're into the 50s. We're down to about 60th rider here, 62nd rider. You've got Paul Pudell in there, another one of my teammates. Now, Chaunier, he did very, very well in the climbing stages. So my guess is this is not really his terrain. Because you wouldn't expect to see him so far behind. And this group, what are they? Let's have a look. 200 meters gap here. So plenty of time, as you can see what's happening here. There's plenty of time for these riders towards the rear end of the ride to actually come back into it. Not into the front group, I don't say, but certainly, like, you know, there's no reason why Chris Little and this little group here with Sedlak and Mansk Drost in, why they can't close up to that little group in front and work together. I can see that happening as you see more and more riders trying to get on. And even these riders, you know, I don't say that they dropped off the back, they could even get back. But it's a tough ask when, you know, when you're having to close 30, 40 metre gaps, it's pretty tough, especially on the flatter courses. Lancini seems to be in nowhere land as well at the moment, 35 metres behind the riders in front, and there's a rider just behind him that may help him by joining. And then I think this is the last big group. I'll know in a minute as we work his way back. But I tend to think that this will be the last big group because we're into the 90s now. The high 80s and 90s. And you can see there's a good turnout today from the OTR boys. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in this group. So... and we've already had plenty already up the road. So that's a good turnout from my team. Well done, lads. Let's see what's happening behind them. Just working my way through. Okay, and how many have we got here? We've got a small group of 4. And then that's... okay, Bonau, one of the ladies. I don't know exactly how many riders we've got in this event today, but we will find out as we move even further back. As we look at Frey, who's also in between riders, 80 metres to the front, 80 metres to the back, to these riders here. And another small group, and another 2 OTR. So that's a huge turnout we've got for this tour, which is really good to see. And don't get me wrong, some of the other teams have got a very big turnout as well. Van Haren. That. So we're starting to see the real tail enders here now. You know, single riders or just a couple of riders. And the task here for these riders is basically to stick with it and finish the course. You know, putting in as best time we can. Davidson looks like he's pulled over for some reason. Ariza, I don't know what's going on there. Now this fellow, he's ridden he's giving me a wave. Kilgore, he's giving me a wave. Now this fellow has ridden all 3 stages so far. I mean, what a guy. And our only recumbent rider at the moment. Be nice if we saw some more riding with him. And there I am, you can see. That's a bot, by the way. I'm not actually riding. Anyway, we're going to get back to the front. What's happening? Mike Weston from Southern District Wheelers is leading them out. But have we got any gaps? Have we got any main gaps? Who have we got with him? We got John Beams with him, the Peddlers rider, and John's got his colleague Neugebauer. So they're a dangerous combination. And then certainly this group is certainly not going to want to let them get off the front. Particularly John Beams, who I think will give Doug Hart a run for his money today. So I've got a couple of favourites that I think are going to be there at the end, but we'll wait a bit longer before I make any predictions because this can play out in a number of ways. But those of you that are regular watchers of these tours will know, along with myself, who the main contenders are on these kind of stages. But I'm going to help you. And we're still looking at how many. Let's just work his way down a little bit more and see if has this group expanded. No, it's about the same. You know, I think we were 28 before, and I think we're 29 now. So it looks like one rider's joined them. Yeah, but nobody is going to break away from this group. Like I say, we may well see on some of the riders, you may well see a couple of riders off the front. But in order to break away from a fast-moving group like this, you've really got to be putting in a lot of watts. And my feeling is that most of the stronger riders will save their efforts. They're not going to try and break away early, because there's just no point in it, in being chased by a big group where the people chasing you can just do through and off and keep swapping around the lead. You're on a hiding to nothing. Completely different tactics to what you get in the climbing stages. And to be fair, I enjoy these flat stages, but nowhere near to the same extent that I do the mountain and hilly stages, because you get a lot more excitement. This is going to be what I think, looking at the course profile. Maybe at the end we could see a break, but I think right up until, if you're looking at that profile on the bottom of the screen as I am, I think right up until you get to that last yellow section, this group are basically going to be together. The majority of this group are going to be together. And that doesn't really lead for exciting racing, although I do think, though, like I say, the tail end of this section, this stage today, looks interesting. You've got them couple of ramps, and then you've got a slight downhill, and then you've got a nice pull-up at the finish. So it's not going to go to an out-and-out sprinter. I think this is going to go more to one of the strong boys. I don't think, one of your bigger riders is going to necessarily take this stage today. And the big question is, we'll get a timing when we get to the halfway point, and we'll get an idea. But the big question is, can they beat the 1 hour and 3 minutes set earlier? I mean, that's a pretty fast time for a 45-kilometer course. In fact, it's an amazing time. So but it does look like the majority of these riders are just happy to sit in and work together. So we'll take a look. I'm not really zooming in, folks, to these riders. We'll do that as they start to split up a bit later on. We're not even a third way into the ride yet. Well, just about, I suppose. But we'll have a look at individual riders a little bit later, because this doesn't really lend itself to trying to pick out individuals when they're all in a large group like this. So we'll have a look and see what's happening with group 2 behind them, whether that's and here they are. Now they're splintering, as you can see. So we had about 12 riders in this group earlier, and how many have we got now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 9 or 10. Is it? Yeah, 9. So, in fact, 10. I'm counting 10. So they've dropped a couple of riders. So let's see who they've dropped behind. It's nice to see Keith from OTR in there. Yeah, there's some good riders in this little group here. But let's be honest, they're 230 meters behind. Now, that's closable, but it would take a enormous effort by some of these riders. And the question is, are they going to be, is anybody in this group going to be prepared to risk putting the power down and trying to get the group in front and maybe losing places? Don't know, tough ask. And then we're on to Group 3, and Group 3 is forming up nicely. We've got a few teams in here with more than just a couple of riders, including OTR, but I can also see Pokemotion there. Yeah, nice group. Moon Riders. And then these lads are right in the middle. 350 meters behind, with another couple of riders chasing, well, more than a couple, a small group chasing behind them. So my feeling is that this group could well end up, and this is about the fourth group on the road that we're looking at here. And it's quite a big group. So my guess is that they'll get together with those riders in front of them. No doubt about that. Now, I'm not going to work my way all the way back through the field again. We'll do more looking towards the rear end of the race later on. I just want... Oh, sorry, that's me at the back. Peter Brookwavel leading them out now. Paul Newton alongside him with Evan, his teammate. Paul Austin is up there as well. So everybody, it looks like everybody's doing a fair share of the work here. I don't think, they're not just leaving it. There could be a case for saying, okay, let's try and work over the really big hitters like Beams and Doug Hart, and but they're not doing that. Everybody seems to be taking a fair share of the work. And this is a good ride by these. I think it's sensible riding, but as soon as I say that, what do? We get we got Doug on the front there, along with Melville, James Melville. James Melville is a dark horse, And I seem to think, I could be wrong here, but I seem to think if it did come down to a sprint and James was there, yeah, I think he'd be a very, very strong contender. But you've got such strong riders here. Neugebauer, you can see his name popping up there. He's gonna try and bring his teammate John Beams along to the finishers party. Of that, there's no doubt. So those two, if they can stay in this group together, and I've no reason to believe they won't, I don't see anybody. And Arhen, once again, the Swede, having another push. I like to see this, but if I'm honest, I think it's a little bit a little bit fruitless. He's definitely not going anywhere. He's got 36 meters on the gap, and he's got somebody to join him. He's got Samut. Now Samut is another rider that likes to do this. I know Samut likes to attack. I've forgotten his first name. And I shouldn't, because I know him well. and I just can't remember his first name, so apologies. I've been out of touch too long. But yeah, these two, they're making a fight of it. But look, let's see if I can get you a better view of these. It's a bit hard with this course and the trees, but there you go. Look, now they are sort of stretching out this group, but they will stay together on this kind of terrain. There's no reason why not. They'll just get in the draft. Riders off the back will just tuck themselves in if they're having to do a bit of work to get back on. They'll get back on and then just tuck in and draft, and that's the legit tactic. I mean, you can even see, it was that Neugebauer way off the back, and he'll now climb up into the middle of the, well, there he is, look, in the middle of the pack. So he's riding a very canny race. I think that's John Beams just off the front. Let's have another look at and these are the leaders. Look, now they had 36 metres. They've still got 36 metres. But just look at that chasing pack behind. I mean, this is a really good view, folks. In fact, let's get it from front on and watch the catch. Here we go. A couple more minutes and I think they'll have pulled these two back. Although having said that, they've pulled it out to 50 metres. So they're really, this is a proper effort. This isn't just, okay, come on, let's stretch his legs. I think this is a proper effort that they're putting in here. But already it's down to 34 metres now. So, yeah, they're going to get caught. But it just makes for a bit more excitement. You've got Lyndon and Doug Hart pulling them back. And they, of course, will be pulling back. Look, they're pulling the group back. So although they're coming across in 1s and 2s and 3s, the group is going to come back together. Look, there you go. All back together. I said it would be less than a couple of minutes. And there you are. Now the question is, have they managed to shoot any riders out the back? Because invariably that's usually what happens. When somebody pushes off the front, you usually see a slimming down of the group. But just looking at the number of riders coming back, and the really clever riders, you can see exactly what they're doing. They're coming back, and then instead of staying at the back of the group, they're going through to the middle or even near to the front. And that's how you tell the really good riders. But yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Now, I could have turned names off for the riders, folks, but I think it's quite exciting to leave the names on, because you can, along with me, instead of having to look at the name bar on the left-hand side of the screen, I just think it's so much easier to see what's happening with the name tags up, because it doesn't show all the riders' names at all at one go, because it can't do. But what it does do is, let's just have a look and see who's that shot off the front. That's Tim Moss. See, it does this. I don't have to go looking at the sidebar to be able to identify the riders and see who's doing the pushes. So that's why I've left the names on. Now, if this was a climbing stage and you got more distance between the riders, of course I would turn the name tags off. A nice dig here by Tim. He's got 30-metre gap, but again, probably just stretching his legs. He's probably saying, come on, boys, let's put some wattage in. He's not trying to get away. You can see from his watt kilos, he's only in the 3 watt kilo range. In fact, even a bit less now. So what he's done is he's pushed off the front just to stretch his legs. And then he's just eased up slightly. He's having another dig there, look, just to say to the riders behind, come on, let's work, let's keep the pace up. But he wasn't really trying to leave them behind there. Of that I'm pretty confident, because otherwise he would have kept the high wattage up for a longer period of time. Okay, so they're onto a relatively flatter section here. So once again, I'm going to spin the camera around this time, and we're going to have a look at the chasers from the view in front. So let's see, and you can't even see them on the road, look, the chasers. But let's work his way back down through the field and see where the chasers are. There we go. There's the chasers. We had one in the middle. James Ogilvie has been dropped. So we got 27 riders in that front group because this is James and he's been dropped from them. How far behind is he from this group? You can't even see him on the road. So James likely is not going to get back to this group, sadly. I mean, he's a strong rider, but I don't see him closing up that kind of a gap anytime soon. He's 300 metres behind. And James is a canny rider. What he may well do, and in fact I think that's what he's doing here, he'll join the group behind. There's no sense in him riding on his own. He'll do that for a little while. There's no sense in him riding on his own and pushing out big watts. So he will allow the group behind, who are closing up on him and doing more watts than he is, to close up, and then he will join that group. So these are the guys that are following on. Daniel has just pushed off the front, probably because he's wanting to close up. He's giving me a wave look. I don't know how many of these riders are listening to the commentary. I know a lot of them do while actually, they log on to the Facebook link while actually racing. So thank you very much, all those that do give me a wave. And these are the chasers. And like I say, I think they're going to pick up Daniel in front of them, and then they'll pick up James. 80 metres to do so. And then another small group, and they're a further 360 metres behind this small group here. Let's just zoom in on them a little bit and see if we can get a look. Yeah. Work my way through them one at a time. Oh, what happened there? That was a glitch on the course. Did you see them do a 360? Sorry, a 180. That was a glitch on the course. That wasn't me, folks, with the... Now, Mike Wareham, he's in nowhere land, the Moonriders rider, so he's probably been dropped from that group, or he's shot off the front of the group chasing behind. We'll have a look. Yeah, I seem to think that these two riders are riders that have probably been dropped off. Actually, yeah, Jan Wouters here, and I think it's Mike Murray. And again, 300 metres behind the riders in front. So we're starting to see this is the next really big group, and these riders here, this group here, will pick up those riders in front. When you're riding as a group like this, you're going to be able to maintain a higher pace because you've got so many different riders sharing the workload. So with so many riders sharing the workload, you can afford to up the pace slightly. Nice group. Just work my way through them, folks. And another nice group behind. So hopefully we will see this as we come into the second half of the course. We will see more and more of the riders grouping up. I hope so anyway. It will make for a more exciting finish if we can have 2 or 3 or more battles going on for the various placings, and I think we're going to get that today. This course lends itself nicely to riders finishing small groups like this. Okay. Paul Nicholls surprised and down date. Sorry, Derek Day. Surprised to see this group so far off the pace, particularly Paul Nicholls, but now Paul Nicholls, just in fact, let's go back to my friend Paul. Let's see if we can find. There he is on screen. Paul is one of the course architects for this tour, along with Samir. They're the 2 folks that bring these courses to us. So big shout out to Paul. Okay, I'm going to jump right back to the front and see what's happening. And you can see John Beams is having a bit of a dig on the front. He's putting in decent wattage. This isn't an attempt to break off, folks. This is just John, pushing the pace up slightly and seeing who he's going to take with him. He's not trying to break away here. He's just pushing the pace up. And there you go. And Doug Hart, his teammate, has joined him. I mean, what would be really nice would be to see these 2 go off the front. Because if they gave John Beams and Doug Hart, 30, 40 metres, they'd be gone. Goodbye and thank you. The race would be over. Which is why they're being closed up at the moment. Let's just have a look at the riders behind them. Let's see if we can swing. There you go, look. So they're keeping a close eye. They're not going to give Doug Hart and John Beams, who are 2 of the favourites for this race, in my opinion, they're not going to give those 2 riders too much breathing space. It would be too dangerous to do so. Nice to see Mike Weston up there as well from Southern District Wheelers. I want to see more of that Walligara as well. The Moon Riders rider, because he's a new rider to me. I don't really know an awful lot about him. It's nice to see Kerpel from Race 3R here. He's another new rider that's come across from the other platform. And I'm hearing very good things about him. Very strong rider. In all, he's a good climber, so he's a strong all-round rider. Nice to see. Samut's there again, look. Don't count him out as we get towards the end. In fact, there's a few good Vespers even up there, look. Yeah, this is a good group we've got here. And it's not really slimming down any. It's not slimming down any. Now, I'll tell you what I didn't do. I didn't check the halfway point, did I, and time. But let's have a look. They've done 27 kilometres and they got 17 remaining in 39 minutes. So let's just calculate that. This is going to be very, very interesting. I do think they're going to beat the 1 hour and 3, given the time on screen at the moment and the current pace. I do think they're going to beat the hour. Sorry, hour and 3 minutes. I don't think anybody is going to go under the hour. I think I can predict that. I think that's too much to ask, given the current time and the current distance remaining. But you never say never. Now, who's that? That's Tim Moss going up the hill. So this is the next hill of any note, and it's only very short. Let's get to the front and see who's jumping off the front. James Melville. And look at all the red numbers, folks. Almost every rider going into the red there, just to maintain the group. That's not to that's not to break off. That's just to maintain the group, having to go into the red. Obviously, they're over the hill now, so they're easing up slightly, which is why we're no longer seeing red numbers. And in fact, they're on the slight downhill section here. Doug Hart loves these kind of courses. And he's got two teammates. I didn't realise until just recently that yes, there are 3 pedallers in this. In fact, there might even be more, but there's 3 pedallers of note in this front group, all with a shout of taking the win. But don't count out the Moon Riders. You've got Ratio Racing are going to have something to say about it. I think that's the first time I've seen. Well, it's not the first time, but he's been keeping under the radar, this rider I'm going to tell you about in a moment. And he's another extremely talented all-round rider, and that's Christophe Contant. Really like watching Christophe racing, because he is such a good all-round competitor. And to be fair, you know, he's going to be in the mix at the end as well. So that's 4 pedalers, riders already. In fact, I think there's 5 in this group, but I can see 4 in the pedalers' jerseys, and they're all in with a shout of taking it. It'll be interesting to see whether they do actually employ any team tactics as we get towards the latter stages. I don't see any team tactics happening so early with 15 kilometers to go, but we could well see it when we start to get around about the 5 kilometers to go mark. Now, who's that jumping off the front? That's Peter. Well done, Peter. He's having a bit of a dig. Let's take a look at him. There he is. And John Beam straight away, look, just keeping an eye and probably wanting to push the pace. As you can see, he's putting in decent wattage here, as is Peter on the front. So probably wanting just to try and raise the pace slightly. Because the problem is that if they do end up bringing this whole group towards the finish, then it's open book. The win can go to any number of riders in this group, because not necessarily the strongest rider is going to win. That quite often is the case when you have a huge bunch finish. But my prediction And I'm going to go out on a limb here. My prediction is that this group is not going to stay together in its current form. It's not going to happen now, but I just don't see it happening. I think eventually, in particular the peddlers, I think they're going to want to try and break this up. It just doesn't make any sense. If you've got 4 riders in the group, it doesn't make any sense to bring everybody to the finish. I think the tactic would be to shoot a rider off the front, get the group chasing him. When they catch him, another moon rider goes until he's caught, and then another one goes. And the one that's done the work the first time off the front sits in the middle of the pack, gets complete rest, and then he goes as the as the 5th rider in the team of 4. You know, he takes his second turn. That would be my tactic. Now, I don't know whether they are talking to each other or whether they've discussed possible tactics, but it would seem to me that would be a legit tactic to employ on this kind of a course. But of course, the elephant in the room is just look at that finishing profile. We've got a slight hill, then a bit of a flat, then another hill, and then a downhill before it ramps up right at the end. And that can spoil things. Your big flat men aren't necessarily going to enjoy that right at the end. Oh, I'm too busy talking and not keeping an eye on the front. So let's see what's happening. And you see, John Beams is just not letting anybody sort of like get too far off the front. He's keeping a close eye on things. Doug Hart now, is Doug gonna, no, he's not. You can see from his wattage, that wasn't an attempt to push. But I think they will. I think my prediction of the tactics will actually play out. I just don't see a team of 4 as strong as the peddlers letting this go all the way. It's nice to see Kerpel. I've already mentioned him. You've got Race 3R. They've got, I think I've counted 4 riders in this group. And Kerpel is probably the, dare I say it, one of the stronger Race 3R members in this group. So maybe they could work for him as well. I mean, Peterbrook Ravel's having a great ride. He really is. But so are his teammates. I mean, you know, the Race 3R boys are really having a good race here. And then, of course, you can see you've got the Moon Riders. You've got a good selection of Moon Riders in here. I don't know. You can't... I'm not calling it just yet because I think this group is going to split. Now, is this going to be what I said? Yes, this looks like the tactic. Come on, playing out. So who's that's gone off the front? That's Doug Hart. So let's follow him. There he is, look. Now, what Doug will do, and you can see from his wattage, Doug is doing exactly what I said. He's in the red. He's pushing off the front. And this is to try and get the stronger riders in that group to follow, you know, to push the pace, to close him up. Now, when they catch him, I'm very, very confident that another peddler's rider will go. Because you can clearly see, look at the left-hand screen, none of the peddlers are near the front chasing Doug. They're in the middle of the pack. They're recovering as best you can. They're drafting, should I say, as best they can. So they're not doing as much work as the majority of the people chasing Doug down. And my guess is that once they catch Doug, another peddler should come through and take over. Now Doug's easing up slightly here, so maybe this isn't a genuine, I don't know. This is difficult to call because I can clearly see that Doug isn't really working here. So maybe he just wanted to test people's legs. You know, it's so difficult to try and call. I'm very experienced at commentating on these type of races, but it looks like I'm not getting it right at all because, like I say, I expected. So I don't think that was the tactic from Doug. I think maybe he was just wanting to see, okay, who's got legs? He's obviously feeling good to make that kind of an effort off the front. Very exciting and interesting race, really. Now we will concentrate a little bit on the groups behind, but I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay with this. We can always catch up with the riders behind once this group has sorted itself out or finished. But at the moment, there's no sign. I was pretty sure that Doug going off the front was a move by his team, but it appears not. It appears not. But I'm never scared to call out tactics because, as I say, I really have got a lot of experience watching and commentating on not just virtual races like this, but real life races. So we've got 8.8 kilometers to go. Maybe around about the 6 or 5 kilometers. That's where we might see this group splitting up, splintering. Now that rider that's just gone on the front, I'll just highlight him for you, Lake. Not even mentioned him today, so I don't know anything about him, the Frenchman. Is he a dark horse? Or is he just so happens that he's got to the front and yeah. I mean, most of the riders in this group I do know, or I know of them, should I say. So, I mean, James is the kind of rider that will always try to give it a go. He was very entertaining on last year's tour, that's for sure. You know, are we? Yeah, we've got another slight hill here, but it is, these are, you can't even call them hills. These are just bumps in the road. But you can clearly see that a couple of riders are taking advantage of it by trying to get, every rider on the leaderboard has gone red there, as you would expect, because basically nobody wants to get left behind. Let's see if we can zoom out a little bit and just make, you see everybody's still together. So this is a class group. Every rider in this group, and this is what I mean about, you know, you can't afford to leave this group together coming into the finish, because any one of these riders could spring a surprise. The no mugs to constantly, you know, put the red numbers in and get back on. I mean, a few have been dropped out the back, yes, and we'll catch up with them as we work our way down the field a little bit later. But I'm sticking with the action at the front here because for me, it is pretty, even though they're riding together as a group, and that can sometimes be really boring. This is not boring. This is quite interesting because I'm wanting to see what tactics are at play. And at the moment, 7 kilometers to go, you have to say there aren't any. There are no tactics in play at the moment, or at least none that I can fathom. So that's why I want to stay with it, because I can't help thinking somebody's going to have to do something. Now, who's that going off the front again? That's that's John Beams. Now, is this a move? Is this the move I said would happen? Are they going to go? Is he going to go off the front? Is he going to keep it going? Let's have a look at his watts. Well, he's doing 5. So this is a proper effort. Peter behind him. Let's just see if we can highlight Peter. Peter's tried to go across, and the annoying thing there, I'm saying annoying, the thing about doing that is Peter's brought another rider, Lyndon, and he's a strong rider. We haven't mentioned him much today, but Lyndon is a very strong rider. Yeah, so they're not really, you can see, they're not really letting him, John, go. And of course, Doug is there, not far from the front. He'll be keeping an eye, and he won't be coming past the riders in front of him to get on John's wheel. He'll just be tucking in, will Doug. And you can, oh, this is looking nice now. You can see the pedalers are up near the front. John's still leading them out, but he's now been taken over. Who's that? Who's that that's jumped on the front? Rocket Roy Neild. We haven't mentioned him much today. I think he's only had one call out. Rocket Roy is strong, and he's a good sprinter. He's got a good sprint on him. But I'll be honest, I don't see, no disrespect, Roy, and I'm sure you won't take any, but I don't think you're going to be able to compete with Beams and Hart, and a couple of other stronger riders. At the very deaf, I just. But I'd be really happy if you proved me wrong. .3 kilometers. They have to do something. You cannot take this group, because Roy could well end up winning this if this group is taken to the line. I mean, I wouldn't put any of these riders, even Tim Moss there at the back, would be in with a shout if it comes down to a bunch sprint. They've got to thin this down, surely. Or are they just happy to take everybody? I can't work out what's going on here. I'm enjoying it immensely. But I just find it so strange. Unless they're waiting, are they going to wait for that final ramp? But that's very close to the finish. What are we now? 4.5. That's only leaves a couple of kilometers, 2 or 3 kilometers. And a strong rider can, I don't know. I think this group should have been split. I think this group should have been split. Who's that going off the front again? Doug Hart having another push. Let's keep an eye on the distance to the riders behind. No, they're not letting him go. And in fact, Doug's realised that. They're not letting him go. There you go, look. Now, have they split the group, though? I don't think they have. Nope. Let's just zoom out a little bit more. I've zoomed back in, folks, but I just want to, yeah, you see the whole of this group, they're all managing. Yes, they're dropping individual riders, because you can clearly see that this group now is what, about 16 strong. But, you know, that's still too big a group to take to the line. fact, I think it's more than 16. Probably more like 20. And what we got, 3.5 kilometers to go. Now let's have a zoom in and see if we can count up the different teammates. All 4 pedalers are at the front looking good. How many of the OTR boys are we spotting here? 2, I think 2 of the I can spot 2 OTR. I can spot 3 Moon Riders. Rasio Racing is there. 3 kilometers to go, folks. Who's your money on? Oh, I don't know. I really don't know. Now, look at this group and you notice one name is missing from the top 10, and that's John Beams. Now, that's classic John tactics. And Neugebauer as well. So John and Neugebauer, the 2 teammates, they're not even showing on the top 10 leaderboard. Now, what does that tell you? Because we know they're going to be there at the end. 2.4 kilometers to go. Wow. John Beam's 18th spot is really sitting in here. In fact, all 3 of the, well, they're moving to the front now, Doug Hart. But the rest of his teammates are just sitting in, just happy to sit in. Okay, I'm going to call it. Because he's one of my favourite riders, I'm going to go for John Beams. But to be honest, I think this could go to anybody. But I'm going to call John Beams, purely and simply because he's not even in the top 10 at the moment still. And so that tells me he's getting maximum recovery here. Very, very clever tactics, unless I've got it wrong and he's absolutely stuffed. But I don't think so. I think John knows exactly what he's doing. 1.73 kilometers to go, folks. Who's your money on? Oh, somebody's going. Samut. Why does that not surprise me? Oh, he's got a great heart, this lad. He really has. He always entertains. He was one of the, shall I say, there should be a jersey really for the most aggressive and attacking rider. And Samut would be up there because last year he certainly was. Maybe there is. I don't know. I'm going to have a word with James and ask is the most aggressive rider prize. Now, John on the front, 1.2 kilometers to go. He needs some teammates with him. He can't do this on his own. His teammates need to join him. Come on, get up to the front. There's the red kite, folks. We're going under the red kite. I'm going to zoom in towards the front. And we're going to follow the action. Now you'll notice that Doug Hart has joined John at the front. John's just biding his time there. Second wheel at the moment. Peter leading them out. 750 meters to go. Doug Hart taking over. Doug's going for a long one. Are they going to chase him? Now, is this the tactic that I mentioned earlier? Is Doug going to go for a long one? Is he going to take it? I don't think he's going to get it. The riders behind are going to get on his wheel very shortly. But look at the teams here. Moon Riders at the front. 3 of them. Pedalers. Doug Hart. Just been taken by Solly. Is Solly going to get it? Is Solly going to get it? Yes! Solly gets the win. Wow. Okay, folks. Sorry I missed the riders behind, but we got the winner. Now then, let's see if we can go down the field and get the rest of the riders coming in. There's Leah coming over the line. Boom. Switch the camera around and we'll watch them actually going over the line. There we go. Zoom out a little bit. What have we got? We're going to have a bunch sprint, folks. So this was Group 2 on the road. Fairly decent sized group. And you got Jan Vambers there from Wahoo Racing. He'll be in with a shout for this one. Although it does look like, let's just, sorry. If we can get back in time. Come on, come on, come on. What have we got? Daniel and Soderberg. Yeah. And the rest of the group. So I don't know who's going to take... are they going to get caught? Or have they got enough? Daniel and Soderberg. Let's go forward and follow the action with them. We watch Bird catching up with them. Yeah, it looks like Bird is going to get past them and just take it on the line. Oh no, that's not the line. Sorry, my apologies. Yeah, it looks like Bird's going to get it to the 24th spot. Although Soderberg is making a really good effort. Come on, Pete. Come on. Big effort now. Come on, sprint for the line. Come on. Oh, no, the joined. There we go. I called out Vambers earlier. I said he was a strong rider. Yeah, a big group coming in there then. Oh, they're going over the line. Carruthers. Morris. And there's my teammate, Paul Padell. Yeah, I mistook that for the line earlier. Silly. Who's chasing? Nobody chasing him, so Paul's in his out on his own. And I think, yeah, his teammate Murtaugh as well. So, sorry, not teammate. One of my ex-teammates who is 3R. Okay. Now, one other thing which, in all the excitement, I didn't check on, so I will do so. I didn't check on the time, but I'm pretty sure they didn't beat the hour because we haven't had 9 minutes since the leaders came in. So we'll check on that a bit later. In fact, I might be able to check on it as we're watching the footage here. As we watch this race 3R rider coming over the line. There's that steep pull that I said to the finish. Mr. Hall coming in. And he's on his own. Oh no, he's got Morgan chasing him. There we go. all over the line, followed closely by Morgan from OTR. Chonier. So while we're watching riders coming in, let's just see if I can't pull up the RGTDB database and see whether it's showing results for this one. Here we go. There's Chonier, just about to cross the line. Good ride, sir. Parks from Rasio. They had a good team out today. A good number. Mike Wareham sprinting for the line, just ahead of Miller and a few other riders. Actually, that looks like Chris Little, is it? Oh no, Adrian Bennett, just off the front. So Adrian gets it from this little group. That's a nice take. Watch Klaus coming in. Now we've already had one Van Bers in, haven't we? So it must be a pair of them. Okay, just looking at the results, folks, it does appear that the 103 set at the lunchtime running of this event still stands. These guys didn't beat that time, which shows just how good it was. And Gordon just loses out. There's Wouters. Now we will stay with this until every rider's in. On flat stages like this, it can sometimes be a little bit of an anticlimax. Once the main groups have crossed the line, you've got the riders coming in dribs and drabs. I'm just pleased that so many riders, they don't sort of like call it a day and abandon. They just stick with it, and that's great to see, because it's not easy when you have to ride on your own. Well done, Nibog. And Grundle coming in, and Walker, Noble. Yeah, it's in fact, I think that was one of the ladies there, Solly, coming in. But it's never easy when you have to do the majority of the ride in what we call no man's land, when you're on your own or you're well off the back, and there's a lot to be said for not really having any motivation. So I'm always pleased to see riders that stick with it. Now, we had over 110, so there's a good number actually pulled out and not bothered to finish the race. So full kudos for those that have. Gordon's telling me he had no legs at the end, which is why he got taken on the line. Gordon Jackson. Here's one of his teammates, Mr. Pellyman. So, although I didn't pick the winner, what I did say was that anybody could win it. I said that anybody from the group, and it would probably be somebody that we hadn't been mentioning, hadn't been keeping an eye on. And to be fair, that's exactly what happened. Torleaf Solly actually won the race. And how many times did we actually mention Torleaf during commentary? He was the kind of rider that rode a very, very smart race. He stayed out of, off the front and saved his, I'm sure he did his fair turns, but he saved his energy by staying out of the way, staying off the radar. And that's the sign of a really top rider. So well done, Solly, for taking the win. Really well done. And Jan Linden came in second place. And a rider that really deserved a podium spot, I think, was Johan Arhen. If you remember, he was the one doing all the early pushing. So, well done to Johan. Lorenzo Simons, he got fourth spot as we watched Paul and Adi just, battling for that spot, and Parker coming in just behind them. Here we go. So, an interesting finish to the race, and the big hitters that I expected to be sort of like off the front, it never happened. Doug Hart finished sixth. Neugebauer, his teammate, finished alongside him in seventh. It was. I should be keeping an eye on the action. It was an interesting race, and what really shocked me and surprised me was the fact that team tactics just didn't really seem to come into play. And for the life in me, I can't understand why not. Because this was a perfect race for that. The tactics I called out earlier, where you get the riders going boom, 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 one off the front, one off the front, one off the front, would have worked perfectly. Unless they just didn't have the legs, or unless they want to save it for. Because don't forget, folks, and that's probably what's happening actually. Maybe I'm being a little bit too critical, because we've got a tough stage tomorrow. And so maybe these riders are just thinking, we don't want to be overdoing it on a flat stage when we've got the mountains coming up. So I can understand the reticence to sort of like go 110%. Not that the riders weren't putting in full efforts, they definitely were, but you know what I'm saying. I'm sure those of you that are canny with these kind of races understand where I'm coming from. As we watch Chris S going over the line. Now, while we're watching Predgen coming in, and what I'm going to do is just take a quick look and let you all know, if those of you that have stayed with me, and those of you that have, thank you so much. What we like to do, and I used to do this with Damon when Damon was working with me on the broadcast for RGT, we used to stay right until the last rider had come in as much as we could. My feeling is that we should do that because these riders are prepared to stick it out. We should be prepared to stick it out as commentators and give them that moment of fame as well. And I certainly like to do so. Anyway, what I was going to say was let's have a look and see what we've got tomorrow. We've got a hilly stage. Petra in Egypt, stage 4. Let's see if I can find it. I'm just looking through the manual now. Let's have a look at the profile. Oh, this is going to, tomorrow's stage, folks, is going to be a very interesting stage. It looks to be about 32 kilometers in length. I'm trying to keep an eye on the screen as well as looking at this route profile. But it's very interesting because it starts off with a climb, then a small downhill, and then the main climb of the day. Then you plateau for a little while, and then it runs downhill. There's a long downhill, a really long downhill. Looks like about 10 kilometers of downhill. Then you get into the valley, as we watch Pregden coming over the line. But you get into the valley, and then there's what? There's 20, 25. There's 10 kilometers, a little bit more actually, 10 kilometers of flat or rolling terrain. So the way I see that, let's just pick up the next rider. There we go. Sorry, Roz, I should have covered you as we watch Steve Elliott. Yeah, so basically the profile lends itself to the rear rollers, the ones that can put the power down to get over the hill and then try and pull away on the flat section. It's going to be interesting. That's going to be an exciting race, I think. It's going to make for good tactics. Because that first hill will sort out. You're not going to see a big group like we've done today. That first hill is definitely going to split the field. How long is it? The first hill is about 3 kilometers, I think. Then a small downhill. Then you get the big hill. So the group that isn't split up on the first 3 kilometer hill will definitely be split up on the next one. Which again is about another 3 kilometers, maybe a little bit more. So you've got 2 hills with a small downhill in between. That's going to sort the field out. And then it's going to be a free-for-all then racing to the line on that big long downhill as we watch Rodati coming under the red kite. So yeah, interesting. But then what surprises me is for stage 5, they've thrown in another flat stage. I think it would have been more entertaining to stick the mountain stage in on stage 5 after the hilly stage. But that's not what they're doing. They're giving you a hilly stage, then giving you the flat stage in stage 5, and then we've got the mountain stage on stage 6 towards the end of the week. So yeah, looking good, folks. Looking exciting. And myself and Andy Widders, he's going to be streaming the events, I assume. I'll take over if he's unable to do so. But Andy's going to be streaming, so I'm just going to be laid back doing the commentating. And I really enjoy doing that. I mean, this is the first time I've commentated for many months now, as I explained earlier, due to my illness. And I've made quite a few mistakes tonight. I haven't really got my setup sorted. I'll try and do so for the next one, but commentating means I can have basically 3 screens up and running with 3 different parts of the race showing on each screen: the leader, the mid pack, and the end. So, or any way I prefer, and it just gives me so much more as a commentator to follow the race. So while I enjoy doing my streams, or I used to, I'll be honest, I've got lazy, and I really do enjoy now just doing the commentating for Andy or Damon or whoever. And I'll probably be doing a bit more of that as well. So we're starting to see the last riders coming in now. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, I can see me at, I think we've got another 3 riders to go, and then that's it, because I'm the last rider on the course. There's a few riders that are pulled over that are not actually showing. So yeah, as we're watching Brandy coming up to the red kite, we're almost at the end, folks. 1 hour 25, so probably about 1 hour 30 for the broadcast. And yeah, I've enjoyed it. Flatter sections often are not my cup of tea, I have to say. I'm more a hills and mountain person myself, and so that's what I enjoy commentating on. But today's been fun because it wasn't cut and dried, and because it didn't work out the way I thought it would. It's been pretty interesting. I think I've learned something today, which is always nice. And I'm looking forward to a cup of coffee, and I haven't had my tea yet. What time is it? It's 8:10 in the UK. It's 9:10 here in the Netherlands. So I'm looking forward to my cup of coffee and something to eat when I've finished off here, which, as I say, should be about another 5 minutes. Now, the stream, as I say, is on Facebook, but also what I will do is I'm also recording it with OBS, so I will be able to post the recording to the website, to the OTR e-racing events website. Probably do that a bit later tonight, or it might be first thing in the morning. But I will also post the video to or a link to the video to the just underneath the Facebook feed to the YouTube videos. It will also be on my stream, so for those subscribers, I've about 204 subscribers at the moment to my e-racing stream. I'll also put the video on there. Okay, so what we got? We got Zhang here from Southern District Wheelers. I love this jersey. Brings back fond memories of Huddersfield Star Wheelers in Yorkshire, because their jersey colours are exactly the same. It's not the same design, but exactly the same colours. Brings back fond memories. My first cycling team, Huddersfield Star Wheelers. And I'm showing my age because it's a long, long time ago. As we get into the more mountain stages, the longer mountain stages, and we have more time between the riders, because that's generally what happens on the big mountain stages. It'll give me a chance to tell you a couple of interesting stories about cycling, and might add a bit of a laugh to some of the streams as well. Now then, what we got? We got 2:13 to go. I'm just going to zip down to, as she puts in a push here, up this rise. But let's just have a look. Patrice. Now, the reason why I did that, folks, the reason why I've come back to Patrice is because very, very sadly, there I am. But very sadly, oh, we have got somebody chasing me. Now, Roberg should catch me because I'm a bot, only doing 0.7 watt kilos. So Roberge is gonna catch me, this lady here. Well done. Davidson must have a mechanical. He's at the side of the road. And we do have another rider, Mr. Kilgore. Okay, I'm going to wait and watch Mr. Kilgore come over the line. So that's going to be a long wait for you folks. He's a good... Oh, I'm saying I'm going to wait. He's a long way behind. Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I can wait 17 kilometres, folks. I'd love to do so, but to be fair to myself, as I say, I haven't had my tea yet. Mr. Kilgore here on the recumbent has got 17 kilometres remaining to cycle, which is going to take him about an hour at his current pace. So I'm not going to be able to wait with Mr. Kilgore, I'm afraid. I do apologise, but at least we've highlighted him and shown him on screen. And this fellow, you have to take your hat off. I think he should get a special prize because he's ridden the mountain stage that we had the other day. In fact, he's ridden every stage so far. So I think he should get a special prize. Anyway, Davidson looks like he's got a mechanical or something. There I am. I've been caught, thankfully, by Roberge. Roberge has got 7.8 kilometres to go. This is a tough one, folks. I normally wait for all the riders to come in, but I'm getting pretty pickish, and it's going to be quite a while before the back markers do cross the line. So I'm gonna watch Zhang here come across the line, and maybe Patrice, and then call it, I think. I'm very sad to do so, but I do have to go. I still have to I have to format the videos in order to upload them to YouTube, and then I have to have something to eat as well. So I still got a busy evening ahead of me. So 600 meters left for Zhang here. And she's putting in a good effort here, folks. You know, 3.1 watt kilos there. So she's putting in a big effort here to finish. Nice ride. And what you're betting she'll get out of the saddle and really push the pedals on this final steep little finish. Or is she too tired? Let's see. I think, there you go. Out of the saddle. Really wanting to give it a good push at the finish. Well done. I love to see that. 45 kilometres and she's still got the strength to get out of the saddle and push. Well done. Good ride. Okay, I'm going to follow what we got. 2 kilometres, 27 kilometres an hour. No, you know what? To be fair, sorry, Patrice, but I'm gonna knock it on the head there. I really am, because I'm absolutely starving and I need a drink as well. So, an hour and 34 minutes. I don't think anybody can complain. For those of you that have stayed with me, thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you tomorrow for the next one. Take care, everybody.